Hello, and welcome to Resolve, an after-play show. This is an after-show for a role-playing game that does not have an actual play, where we tell you all the details of our game, so you don't have to listen to it. Hi, I'm Sammie. I'll be your host. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Asiri Amoli, the mermaid, who also uses she, her. Joining me today is my wonderful co-host, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use he, him pronouns. I play the Mughal avatar of Alexander, Smog, who also uses he, him pronouns.
We are joined today by Carolyn.
Hello, I'm Carolyn. I play Poni, the miniature horse who, as it turns out, is not a unicorn. Poni uses she, her, hers pronouns as well.
We are also joined by Dee.
Hello, I'm Dee. I use both they and she pronouns, and I play Geyser, who is still a problem. She uses she, her pronouns.
Alright, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Now that we're all here, Alex, why don't you tell us about the actual play?
Previously, in EFFETE, Poni trots into a frozen tunnel, exploring. Smog speaks with Lone while the rest of the party tracks Poni. Smog learns that Lone is trying to stop the wolves from initiating a new age, and that people have tried to shape new ages before. Geyser and Asiri break off to catch and interrogate a wolf. Poni turns back and meets with Tau and Athenos. Tau melts ice on the path back, which also sends ice shooting out of pipes nearby. Smog secretly follows Lone as they magically clean the mechanism room and return to the main hallway via secret tunnels. Geyser and Asiri psychically connect with the trapped wolf. Poni, Athenos, and Tau meet up with Lone and Smog, who reveals himself, pretending to have come from another direction. Lone seems unfazed by the wolves at the gate or the melt in the cistern. Smog says the party should speak more in the world of the lost. He and Athenos leave to find Geyser and Asiri while Tau and Poni return to the bedroom. Geyser and Asiri find the wolf single-minded, repeating thoughts of approaching the castle and starting a new age. Smog and Athenos approach Asiri and Geyser as Geyser drops the mental connection. Smog enters crystal stasis to attempt to stop Geyser from immolating the wolf, but she manages to do it before giving in to the pull. Poni and Tau appear in front of the tourney grounds, while the rest of the party appear in front of the cart in the world of the lost.
Now that you've heard the actual play, let's do a deep dive into the session. Carolyn, you and Poni went on a little adventure there.
We did. So the original plan was to find Lone to tell him, hey, you know those wolves you hate? Well, there seems to be some trying to break into the courtyard. They're at the gate. But then she got a little sidetracked, got a little curious as to what would be down these creepy old stairs. So she did a little side quest of her own. I really liked how Dan indulged me in Poni's torch-carrying tactic, where there was a torch on the wall, and since it was one of the old medieval ones, and a hook hanging from the wall.
Yeah, more like a sconce.
Poni used some of her little circus tricks to, nudge it up with the end of her nose and catch it in midair, and she was able to, tilt her head and carry the torch for light and warmth.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit where we're wondering, are we going to have any role for this? But I think it makes sense with Poni having to interact with human-made objects so much that she would have a couple tricks by now.
Mm-hmm.
Did Poni even think about the risk of burning herself, or was she just like, I got this?
No thought of that at all. She was just like, dang, it's dark. I need to see. Fire will help me see.
I also appreciate that you were the one who was more worried about the cold. Like, Dan didn't have to say, Poni's starting to experience some sort of pain or something. You're just like, what's the temperature like in here? Oh, if it's that bad, I need to start turning back.
Yeah. When I used to ride horses way, way, way back in the day, this is the deep Carolyn lore. Even in the fall, we would have to put these jackets on the horses before we turned them out to the pasture. Because even when it wasn't that cold, it could get cold quickly. Domesticated, short-haired horses really can't withstand temperatures below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, right below freezing, really. And since Poni is so much smaller than them, I just didn't want Poni to freeze into a little miniature sculpture.
Oh, that would have been bad.
It would have been horrible for her mane and tail. And they've already taken a lot of damage.
What were the exact details of what you found down in that basement? It was described as a cistern with a lot of pipes. I don't know if there's like particularly strange architecture, but definitely not congruent to the rest of the castle, at least.
For lack of a better term, a series of tubes, and one of the tubes seemed to be kind of snowed and frozen shut, so Poni tried to dig with her little hooves and heat it up with her torch to get through, but she did not make it very.
Yeah, there were also weird marks that you found along the way, and Dan was careful to say they don't seem like writing.
Yeah, they were like hieroglyphs, but maybe not. Some kind of strange markings that Poni hadn't seen before. But since Poni did not recognize the writing, she did not pay much attention to it. She was more focused on going forward, or maybe not freezing if she was going forward.
I wonder if that could have been like Lone scrabbling somewhere, although their legs have like those pads on the end.
But they do have 3 clawed, fingered hands, so it could be scratch marks or other clawing.
Yeah, maybe.
Speaking of Lone. Smog, you had a long chat with Lone as best you could.
I had this transformation planned for Smog for quite a while, as I've talked about. I didn't think it would have such a great world to happen in, because what better place to change into an avatar of a time god than the world of ages?
Makes sense.
Smog was able to talk about time as an expert and push back against Lone's idea of history ending, and it seemed like the whole world dying or stalling out. It was mostly like, what would you like, Lone? Is there something from the past you would like? Is there something you envision for your future? And it all just led back to all the wolves die and then I die.
Yeah, although, did Lone really mention their wish to die? I know they mentioned their wish to rest, but they didn't really speak to their own demise. We also don't really know what Lone exists off of. They don't really seem to have a mouth. They haven't really eaten or anything. Doesn't seem to sleep. They do get cold, but...
Yeah, I guess there's rest, but that just feels like a euphemism to me.
Yeah, valid.
Especially because what we've seen is all the wolves blowing up. I don't know what else to think of Lone having finished everything, sitting around for a while, and then resting is anything other than death. But maybe we'll have some clues to what else that could be later.
We did pull some information from that conversation, specifically regarding the wolves and how Lone views them as people and people doing bad things.
People who wish to decide what the next age will be, which is apparently something that has happened several times before.
One would argue to varying levels of success considering how desolate this place is, so maybe there is a point that Lone has, but we also don't know everything that's going on either.
I'm not sure how sold I am on this theory, but I think it makes sense for Smog's background to consider this. The reason that by the end of this, he's like, Lone is a tyrant. To Smog, it seems like Lone has taken up whatever big power this castle has to offer, and instead of using it to create something selfishly, it's more like selfishly destroying everything in his vision right now. But I think there's more that we can talk about when we get to following Lone later. Yeah, I don't know how convinced I am by that theory. Does anybody else think Lone is holding all the cards here?
There's more to Lone that we know, but based on what we've discovered about the castle and what's happening, there's... And we didn't even really investigate this deeper.
Mm-hmm.
There's the soul that we discovered that's circling in despair in the tower, and then ice wolves that are zombies heading to the castle without just being pushed there. Either Lone has had something stripped and is now keeping the planet in stasis, or more to your theory, Lone is the one that caused the spiral to happen in the first place.
It's slightly convincing to me, because if this is sort of based off of like a Souls-like, that's definitely something that comes up a lot in those games. Either a new cycle can't start because there's a group of people or a specific person that's holding everything back, so there needs to be some sort of change or some drastic action taken. So it could be that. Or it could be that Lone was the soul stripped. They seem to have a somewhat mechanical-esque body. It doesn't seem to be entirely organic from what was described. And we do know that a soul was stripped, so it could be those two pieces fit together somehow, but I'm not 100% on that.
Something that strikes me about the, like, FromSoftness is also the nature of the wolves, because I think about how Asiri was like, they're all going to return to wherever they are after they die anyway. And I think Smog would have a similar idea of reincarnation, but that's not necessarily how things work in those games. In those games, you as a player are collecting the souls of the things that you vanquish, who are also other people hoarding souls. I wonder if part of Lone stagnating things is that they are collecting all the souls from the wolves so that they can't move anywhere and just holding on to them, not spending them, not doing anything with them.
So you're saying we need to kill more wolves to collect items and then set the fire and level up.
We need to bash Lone over the head so we can free all the souls.
Shake them like loose change out of them.
Yeah.
Beat the Sonic coins out of him.
The rings, yeah. Probably later on in the timeline here, but Smog was explaining this concept to Asiri, and it does make her uncomfortable. She does not like the idea of things being locked in place, that perhaps inadvertently this person was tricking them in a way that she's more familiar with, because lying is not a thing, but rather telling the truth in a way that conceals things. You're not revealing the information. She's more familiar with that, and that's irked her a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't have any dark stat, so I can't roll a dark link to save my life. So I got a light link out of that.
When we sort of compile some of this information that we've gathered on Lone in the World, and we're able to meet up in the World of the Lost, what do you think your characters are going to feel about Lone?
That's kind of a hard question. That depends on what we discover. We don't have enough information to really answer that effectively. Or at least for me. Geyser, at the moment, she's more like, I wish people would just be straight up so we could just fix whatever's going on.
Well, Lone seems to have a very different idea about what the problem might be in this world as compared to us.
Yeah. They are very clearly hiding something.
Lone quickly ends the conversation with Smog and is just like, I have to go do things now. And Smog, like, already a little concerned with what's going on in the castle, is like, I'm just going to tail Lone in secret. So we do get to see that they have more magical power than shooting out fireballs, including magically cleaning up rooms in the castle and opening up secret passageways, possibly laying some sort of detection spell that Smog dissipates.
That was a really entertaining sequence of events. You come up to that secret passage and they lay that detection spell down and you're like, no, thank you. You have to silently cast magic when you're playing a flute.
Yeah.
A little counterintuitive.
No big places that Smog hadn't seen before, but a bunch of stuff we hadn't seen Lone doing before, and those secret tunnels they were pressing stones into to reveal. It just makes it feel like they have a bigger command of the castle.
I'm not sure if I fully cued in on how Dan was describing these passageways. Were they set as a secret passage that's just there behind the wall, or more of Lone is commanding the castle to make a passageway for them in that instant?
Yeah, I don't know. It felt vague to me. We could figure that out probably by trying to press in the same points and see if we open up the same passageways.
That's true.
Now, we also have to be careful, because Lone might have left spells to figure out they were there before we do that. But I think it's worth trying. Stepping back a little bit chronologically, we do have that whole sort of cistern scene when Poni, Tau, and Athenos meet up again.
Oh yeah, nice little reunion down in the series of tubes. Where it was nice until we got blocked off and it was tense for a hot second. I forget, how did the icicles form? Did we ever learn exactly how, or did they just spring up?
Turned around and the ice was just growing in size. There wasn't really an apparent source of water or anything, like a stalagmite or something forming. It could just be it's so cold, or it could have been some more sort of magical instance of ice here. Unclear.
Yet another mystery we're going to have to solve about Lone and his castle and his heating and cooling bills.
Tau did this metal screech that was heated for magic and blew up in a hole wide enough for you guys. But also that made a bunch of the pipes pop out their ice and start flowing some water. So it is weird that getting back to Lone later and talking to them about that cistern and things being melted, they didn't seem to care and just were like, it'll freeze again.
I wonder how important the ice is to this world, because if it forms the body of the wolves, that sort of gives Lone a good reason to not have ice in general, but they don't seem to care that the water is inside the castle and freezing.
Conceptually, the ice works well with stalling things out, freezing things in time or freezing things at the end of time. Pretty common thing in fantasy. Like I know in Pillars of Eternity, the god of entropy is also like the freezing damage god.
I need to play more video games besides Pokemon. I do not know any of this lore.
I always appreciate it when Zach gets Tao to do magic, because it's just such a fun mashup having the technology part be turned into a magical sort of effect. So having a death metal screech also be like fire breath with your dragon Vocaloid knockoff is great. I love that conceptually.
Zach is pretty good at making the magic feel thematically appropriate. It was the same thing when we played Interstitial previously, although he had a more like generally magic character, so it was a lot easier.
I also like the added detail of while they were walking around in the dark, that Tao just has a soft ambient glow around them because they're a projection.
Yeah. And then this is like, you're an explorer's best friend.
Yeah. Who needs night vision when you have Tao?
It's just funny because if we're thinking about a big role-playing games, that would be such a hindrance in D&D if someone constantly had light cast on them, because then everyone would notice you.
I have to give some kudos to Dex for this session, because they really like phoned it in for Thanos' anxiety and feeling weak. It's been really entertaining to see this over-the-top, larger-than-life character be like, aha, I'm fine, I'm doing great, thanks.
I'm a big fan of Thanos as a character, even in that scene where he was yelling to Poni and Poni's yelling back, but muffled, because she has a torch in her mouth.
Thanos is like, Poni, and Poni was like, ha Not all the way till drop the torch.
Wrapping the torch in the middle of the dark in an ice field is probably not the best plan, so I understand Poni's reasoning.
By that time, Tao was there, so it wasn't that dark. And Poni did get a nice little blanket.
Right, Thanos did do some magic to give Poni I can't remember what is the like product.
So it has a couple of different names. It's like a jacket or a rug. It's a big blanket that you put on a horse, and there are straps that you can put around the chest and under the legs so it doesn't fall off.
I was thinking of like the human infomercial product, which is a Snuggie.
Did you know that I have a discount generic knockoff Snuggie called a Hugly?
Does it have some sort of character on it, or is it a color?
It's just an aqua blue.
Okay.
But I wish it had something awful on it.
Tweety bird.
Oh no.
One year we got Nonna a Snuggie with a VT logo and Hokey Bird on it. I don't think she really understood like what the logo was, but she used it all the time. So.
That's cute. We should have got a Snuggie for Poketech with the Ho-Oki.
Oh no.
We should sell a Snuggie that is also like a Kigurumi that turns you into Smog.
No. Absolutely not. I don't want that.
Maybe not one for Smog, but Poni might steal one of those ones that has the unicorn horn on it.
Oh, that would be so cute.
That would be very cute. But it's not just Poni who got all that fashion. Dex had the Thanos cast it on themselves and Tao. So they had like Ugg boots, fall vibes going on.
I think we all have matching beanies.
Your hooded blanket had, I think he said that they all had Chibi Lone on the hat, and then the booties have like little wolf icons.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Who knew Thanos was the god of branding?
I should have had Smog notice that. He's into fashion. He should have been like, it doesn't match anything you're wearing, any of you.
Just be like, oh, that's what you're wearing? Awful. Is Smog the fashion police?
Smog is not the fashion police, he's the fashion god.
Oh. Formerly fashion police, now fashion god, thank you.
Oh, man. It's too normy for his punk sensibilities.
God, what a truer sentence has never been uttered to me. Everyone does try to go find Poni, but at some point, Geyser gets distracted and out the window sees a wolf and pulls a geyser on them.
Even before that, Geyser blasts a beam of fire out the window. In no direction at all. Lone is killing the wolves, so the wolves are outside, so we should kill the wolves. And then there's a little bit of more conversation after that, because everyone's like, did you have to do that? And then Geyser's like, wait, what if we captured one? Geyser goes out and casts a huge ice dome and surrounds the ice dome with fire.
Okay. I did not have that visual right in my mind, which might show in the notes right now, because I thought it was the fire cage inside of the ice dome. I don't know. It was all very confusing to me.
The reason why I did it that way is because I didn't want to melt the wolf. I wanted to entrap it, but I don't know if it was something that could, like, phase through ice. So just in case, the fire, to be a deterrent of it moving.
The next sentence you say to me is, I'm gonna go torture this thing. And the series just like, let's not do that.
Why not? Let Geyser have a little fun.
A little torture.
God, women can't do anything.
This is purely because Geyser doesn't know about real life that well. She has only been existing in the real world for about a couple of years as far as the campaign starts. Everything is not only filtered through Jilly, the girl that created her, everything that she understands is like through the things Jilly observes. You watch a bunch of action movies, you're trying to get information out of people, so you capture them and then you torture them. It's only logical.
I mean, yes, but
I love that Thanos is like, go have fun being unethical.
yeah, Asiri only went along with that just to be like, if you're gonna kill it, kill it. Don't make it suffer.
Yeah, Siri heard torture and ethics and is like, I need to oversee this.
Correct. She's like, we're not going to torture. We're going to get information if we can, and then we're going to put it out of its misery if we need to. Or let it go. Unfortunately, that did not happen.
After that, we kind of split up again, and then Asiri was with me, and we kind of hopped the fence.
Does Geyser plan anything, or is this all just spur of the moment?
Geyser is not a planner. There's like quick decision making. She does consider some things, but it's not like, oh, this is the best way to do this. It's like, I need to solve this problem, so I'm gonna do the first thing I think of. Lone says don't open the gate. I need to be on the other side, so I'm gonna jump. Geyser launches herself and Asiri over the fence.
Which was unnecessary because Asiri's like water bubble thing allows her to essentially fly. So she could have just swam over. I could have carried Geyser too. That I was gonna offer, but you immediately jumped to air vaulting.
Not the most efficient, but the first solution that comes to mind. And we made it over safely, so... Geyser being Geyser just takes off running. Very one-track minded. It's kind of like maybe 4 sessions ago in the Strider. Geyser just like, oh, I'm underwater, let me just take off towards this thing. I've done that multiple times.
Run off to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
To have your own Geyser adventure.
And then, this was my favorite part. Oh, I'm gonna torture. And then Geyser's idea of torture is neural linking everybody there. I did not know what I was planning to do. I was just like, this wolf is not saying anything or responding, so we're just gonna be connected and I will understand.
What gave you the idea for psychic magic powers for Geyser? Because I've hit that point with Smog a lot where I'm like, all right, I need psychic powers. Oh, wait, psychic powers don't really exist strongly in Final Fantasy lore. The closest they have are like fortune tellers. So that's like something narratively I usually block myself out of. Like, what prompted you to go, Geyser can connect psychically with other intelligent quote-unquote beings?
That's actually an interesting question because it is justifiable for Geyser, but I can't say that I was thinking about it that way. I wasn't thinking about the constraints of Geyser's power, but if you think about it, Geyser did not exist in the real world. She was a construct of a child's imagination. So she literally existed in someone's mind space. When Geyser became strong enough, she would pull Jilly, the person who created her, into the dream world. Geyser has always done things like that. But in this moment, it was another, oh, this is a problem that I need to solve. So I'm going to do the very first thing I think of, which is this ice wolf is not communicating with any of us. So I'm going to hack its mind somehow.
What a trippy experience that was as well. Because Dan was like, all right, why don't you describe your inner thought process or anything like that for your character? That took me a moment to like settle on because Geyser linked a theory into this as well. So I had to like real quick be like, what does this theory's mindscape sound like?
It was really nice to hear about that. The music, sharp notes due to anxiety. I really like the idea of someone's mind being full of music all the time. I don't experience that. I would love to live my life like that. Just be a head full of music all the time. I appreciate that. Compared to Geyser is a lot more wordy, a lot less beautiful. Constant internal monologue.
What do we think the other player characters' heads might sound like in a similar scenario?
Oh, man.
I mean, we could start with Poni since we have Carolyn right here.
I would follow Geyser's line of thinking where it's like, okay, these wolves are bad and they're trying to hurt us, so obviously we have to get them before they can get us, because Poni is, above all else, a fighter and a survivor. But I don't know if she would have the thought to capture one of the wolves and get information out of them. That's like a step removed of Poni's main goal in that situation, I would think.
So it's still like a very aggressive stream of conscious, but maybe not as tactical.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think for Smog, it would feel like people commentating on a reality show. Like, what is that Netflix show with the people who live in a house together?
Oh, Terrace House.
It would be like the Terrace House commentators with Smog and Alexander talking about what's going on in the situation, but like time would feel slowed down so that they're having enough time to completely figure out a thought before responding.
I used to love Terrace House. It was such a cute show.
Zach watched a lot of it, but I've never seen a full episode.
I was about to say Auntie Donna's House of Fun, but that's completely different.
What? I'm not familiar with any of these shows.
Yeah, I don't think I know what that is.
It's a sketch comedy show.
Okay.
It's a lot of New Zealander people and their roommates, and they share a house and experiences.
Whoa.
It sounds like Terrace House, but comedy.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely a comedy.
Terrace House is kind of like Big Brother without the drama. Like, not to say that there's no drama, but it's a lot more muted. It's a lot more reasonable. Like, you're not going to get the sound bites that you would from, like, a Real Housewives or, like, Love and Hip Hop.
I think very importantly also, Big Brother without the competition. It's just people living together on an extended vacation, basically.
Yeah.
Who don't necessarily know each other and can invite other people they know to live with them for a little bit if they want to.
The commentators are, some of them are really funny, but others of them I'm like, I could do without you. But I really loved that show for a long time.
Yeah, it's weird that I think of maybe Smog's thoughts happening that way, because the times I peeked in on Zach watching it, I did not like the commentators at all. I was like, this show would be great if they just weren't there.
Love that. I like to imagine that Tao's thoughts are just strings of code being put together and compiled Matrix style.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, because it's just computer indexing and just sorting and figuring out, putting things together.
Thanos just has a marble rolling around in there. I swear. There's just nothing going on. All of Thanos' thoughts are outside thoughts.
I feel like Thanos maybe has two modes. There's this one thing that's in the background that's chugging on big things for a really long time, and then there's dog brain looking at every squirrel and shiny thing that approaches.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's perhaps something that's really big, bombastic, maybe full orchestra sort of structure in the background, but up front you just have a guy swinging around and just Going back to a serious mental thoughts, the reason I chose to describe it as I did was because I don't think she's a verbal. I don't think there's that word train of thought consciousness thing going on. It's more she's in tune to her environment, which is the low rumblings and bass parts of it. And then there's what she thinks is right, which is the higher parts of it. And then there's her own personal anxiety, which is those sharp cut-ins, which I think are distractions and just are clearly wrong.
The wolf's thoughts, however,
yeah,
entirely single-minded.
Yeah, that is not a thought, that is an ordinance.
That's exactly why Geyser's I'm gonna kill this thing.
I mean, it did already melt its face off trying to get away from us and into the castle.
And the brain is not in the head, because he kept thinking after that.
Yeah, no, Asiri had to summon abyssal tendrils to keep it in place and literally lock onto whatever its soul was just so it wouldn't leave.
Geyser was a little stressed out between hearing the music and must get to castle so strongly. She's actually, never mind. Time to die. Death time. You've provided no information.
But it kind of did, because once Asiri got her bearings and was okay, I'm connected to Geyser's brain, oh god, what is that going on over there? Once she filtered that out, she was you're not a creature, you're not alive in the same sense that I would understand it. You're more of a force of nature rather than a being or a creature or anything like that. Once she pieced that together, she was okay, you can kill it, it'll just come back later. The physicality of it is not what's important here, and you can't damage it in any meaningful way.
It's while that happened that Smog Alexander catches up with us.
I think that's where more of seeing Lone as maybe some sort of ruler right now comes into place for Smog too, because there's a big contrast between the wolves and Lone. The wolves have this single-minded ambition. They're full of hope and desire and want and nothing else. They don't have any purpose behind it. It's just the want. And Lone seems to not have any desire for anything good left in their life, but they have a purpose. There's a means to an end, but it doesn't seem to be a positive thing, something that one should actually strive for. That's where I see those parallels, and that's an easy thing for Smog to latch on to, hearing that from Geyser and Asiri, and having just spoken to Lone.
I want to open the gate now.
You just want to let the wolves have what they want? You personally or Asiri?
Me. Asiri's still on the fence, I think. She needs more data before she can really make that call, because she's very slow thinker, slow to act to things. But me, on the other hand, I know that Dan says there's multiple ways to sort of solve each world. So we're kind of left with two choices. Either we support Lone in whatever the hell they want, which we're still not clear of how to achieve that yet, or we do the brute force method and let the wolves get what they want, because clearly there's something about them that will, from Lone's mouth, start the new age into secession.
And Cowboy Smog told us that starting the new age is the key to finding the core that we need.
Thank you, Cowboy Smog. Yeehaw.
What do we think the wolves are after? I personally think they want to tear Lone to shreds, because Lone seems to hate the wolves especially.
Would not surprise me to see Lone as collateral damage, but my knee-jerk reaction is they want to get up to the clock tower and get the mechanism going.
Yeah. Whatever stripped the soul from the gear in the sarcophagus is keeping the world in stasis, and the wolves need to get into the castle and undo the stasis to bring the next aid. The natural state of the world with different ages, and then this is just an ice age that is stuck. And I don't know if it's Lone's doing, but I do know at least that Lone's maintaining it that way.
And that's why Smog is like, all right, everybody round up, let's go to the World of the Lost, because he doesn't know the extent of Lone's magic anymore. The World of the Lost seems like a safe place to talk. And secondly, it seems like there's something missing with Lone that we could possibly recover to help the situation. Maybe there are not the two disparate options of we help Lone achieve stasis or we let the wolves take over. Maybe if there's some hope, some sort of idea for the future that we can get back to Lone, if Lone ever had it, we can find a way to progress and not let these empty vessels of want take over.
Yeah. I wish I had like sub-menus pop up like a Souls-like game so I could read the description of all the items. But I do not have that, so I have to piecemeal things together myself. I'm so nervous about what we're gonna wake up to in the World of the Lost. Yes, I know like where we are physically, but now the Master's allowed here, and I don't know what that means.
Also, like, what are we going to ask from them? We can return anything. How specific do we have to be? Do we just take that now? Do we save it for when we might need it for another world? So many different possibilities with having someone owe you a favor.
Somebody powerful owing you a favor, too. I'm scared, y'all.
Man, if we wanted to, we could even just be like, we need more time to chug on what's going on with Lone, leave, go to another world, and come back when we have something we think might help from somewhere else entirely.
True, we gotta go back and talk to Susie. She knows the answers.
No one can lose hope when Susie's talking to them.
Damn right. Susie is an angel.
She's so precious.
Baby.
She's like the first humanoid Poni really, really connected with.
It helps that she's a ladybug.
Yeah, but Poni liked her before she knew she was part ladybug.
The thing I'm struggling with, and I think this is just part of the inspirations drawing this world, is like, I want more information. And it's been very slim to come by. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's very intentional because it's supposed to cloud how we make our choices. But I'm like gnashing at the teeth for a little bit more to chew on, you know?
Yeah, internally I was like, well, Dan is straight up telling us there's more in the castle that might point to Lone, but we have the World of the Lost as like a tool. We have a favor we're owed there. Let's see if we can get a little more out of that before we poke around in places that might upset Lone. See if we can maybe get Lone on our side to poke things around more, because maybe there are things in the castle they don't remember anymore for some reason or don't know about, and having them more on our side would help us.
Yeah, Asiri's not very excited. She doesn't want to go back there, but she was like, apparently this is important, so let's go.
Well, yeah, I guess also being able to talk without Lone possibly cutting in through a tunnel at an inopportune moment or magically spying on us.
It's really not that big of an issue because they're dead. We just turn off the tablet and then we could just talk. That's
fair, I guess. Who knows what you're going to do with the magic? Could they actually translate with the magic they wanted to and they're holding that back from us to see what we have?
That's true.
Who knows?
The flip side of that argument is now the Master is going to definitely hear whatever the hell we talk about, and I don't know how much information I want to give them.
Yeah, that's fair. The thought process for me is like, we're going to have to give them more stuff anyway. Does it really matter?
Also, at the end of the day, I suppose everything comes back to them anyway once it's lost. So, you know, who the hell cares anymore? Everything is meaningless. Life has no purpose.
Because of all the shenanigans with how we got to the World of the Lost, though, with Smog forcing it because he wanted to try to stop Geyser from destroying the wolf, we are separated.
Yeah, that was a strong confrontation before we warped in there, huh?
I had to push through a little bit of stress to do what I wanted to do. If I had thought about it a little bit longer, I could have taken the experience, because experience for me has seemed hard to come by because I am very like relentless about my roles. Rolling everything. I wanted that wolf dead. Like and
you made it happen. That is commitment. That's sticking to a strategy.
Just to put that in complete context, Smog used the basic move Interfere to try to stop Geyser from doing that, and that's what triggered going into the world of the Lost, and rolled over a 10, so had both the consequence of if you continue to try to do it, you have to push through stress, and if you don't do it, you gain an experience. So Geyser chose to keep trying to do it and did not gain the experience.
Dan was like, push through stress with Dark, and Dark is my highest stat and the one that I have the most links with. And Geyser was really like, this wolf has to go. The logical consequence of things. And I know I sound like a serial killer right now, but there's no torture in my actual real life plans.
In the context of what y'all learned, it totally makes sense. It's just that in Smog's mind, like, Lone specifically referred to the wolves as people. Mm-hmm. And killing people, not something he usually does anymore. Maybe there's something that when we fix whatever's going on here, these people are going to return to a more normal state. Maybe killing them is going to make it harder to revitalize this world, take it to its next stage. So he's like, if you can avoid it, please do it. And then guys are just like, no, gotta blow up the wolf.
That does make sense. There was a little bit of conversation because guys was like, this is a zombie. I was listening to its thoughts and there was nothing up there except for gotta get to the castle. The whole purpose was Geyser's roundabout way of trying to be helpful. The whole time is like, I'm trying to solve this problem and you are useless, so now you
It did change for Assyria after that, because like once she realized, oh, this isn't really alive. Because beforehand she was like, we're not going to torture it, because if you're going to kill it, just do it quickly so it's done. You know, just make it merciful as possible. It's an ugly thing, but, you know, it has to be done sometimes. Whereas now she's like, all right, it's not a person. It'll just come back. I guess you can do what you want for it because its body doesn't really matter. I don't know what I'm doing here.
I love that whenever someone goes to the world of the Lost, the whole party's like, oh, I feel a pull, and you have to, like, resist it to stay where you are.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep us mostly together, but if we really want to try to do something else, we gotta roll for it.
Geyser had no reason, like, after I just summoned another, like, fireball, which is really funny. I played with a lot of different types of magic last session, and it was just all absolute chaos, and that just delighted me and was very satisfying because I truly do view Geyser as an agent of chaos as a result of like playing the discarded playbook. If someone's abandoned and they truly like feel all alone, they're just gonna do whatever. Like, you're not really gonna know what's gonna happen, and sometimes I don't know what's gonna happen.
I do have to ask, since we talked briefly about experience and playbooks, and we've talked about this with other people on past episodes, but where do you envision Geyser going into the future here? If you do gain more experience, if you do meet another playbook, what's in your head right now?
I was thinking about the anachronism, but then I was like, oh, now Smog has that one. I don't want to double up.
I mean, we do have two memories.
Yeah, we do.
It would be so funny if Geyser is also radically different and we just have these weird conversations about the future timeline we're from every once in a while.
I do think that makes sense as a player arc next step, going from someone who's like dissatisfied with their power in the present, going to someone who's a little bit more actualized and kind of stepping in to stabilize where we are in the campaign. But also, I do think that the anachronism has, like, still kind of chaotic elements. The other playbook I was thinking about was the Linksmith, but I'm having a little bit of a harder time justifying that one in Geyser's story, because Geyser really doesn't mess with the relationships between people as much as she directly messes with people. The outside observer is gonna see everything about Geyser. That's kind of the way I've intended to play her. But personality-wise, the Linksmith would be kind of a match. But there's a lot of potential there, too.
The Linksmith also works really well with the background I've given Smog in the interim time, because somebody's messed with Smog's memories at his asking. It could very well be that Geyser was at some point the one who toyed with Smog's memories. We could even be like, Geyser trolled Smog by completely making him forget about Tao.
Honestly, that's really funny to me. It makes me want to do the Licksmith more.
Your inspiration for the anachronism also makes me think a lot about where Poni is right now, because Poni is looking at other people's magic and considering, are these paths that I could take going in the future?
I'm still a couple experience points away, but I don't know what book I'm going to have Poni do next. I'm considering The Prodigy because ever since Smog told her, you're not a unicorn, but you're also going to be really good at magic, that kind of stuck in my head. And I really like the idea of her using the moves dual identity, blue eyes, full hearts, and especially if there's no door, then I'll make one.
Having previously played a Prodigy, it is a ton of fun.
That is exactly the playbook I was thinking of too, because I was like, we want to lean towards something higher mastery for Poni. And it seems like other players are more interested in the Mystic, which I think would be a weird transition for Poni. There's already this really fun dissonance with the Prodigy and the Knucklehead. They seem like opposite ideas, so it's really fun to think of somebody transitioning from a Knucklehead to a Prodigy.
I mean, one connection I can see is that both playbooks really focus on a character getting what they want, how they want it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could pull that together with Poni. I was looking at Mystic too, but I didn't see as much that I liked for Poni. I guess my friends are my power is okay.
If you only like one of those moves, there's the opportunity to pick one up as you grab a multi-class advancement in another playbook.
That is true.
One of my multi-classes for Anachronism is probably going to be grabbing Dark Portal again. Not having that just feels weird for Smog because it was so vital to his backstory. So I think I need to grab either that or Light Portal, although Light Portal works differently.
The allure of the Dordle. If there's no door, I'll make one also kind of works too.
True. That one feels a little more desperate to me, though. It's like, I'm completely out of options. I've hit the wall here and I need something else.
Fair. You can't beat that Dordle, though.
So what do we think about the two different places we are, Poni and Tao, back at the tournament grounds, hearing something, I think laughing? The rest of us are out by the cart that Thanos found.
I have a hunch that noise is the master doing something stupid in the middle of the tournament, or like making Teddy do something embarrassing in the tournament grounds, but it could be anything. It is the world of the lost.
Make Teddy joust against the old lady.
Oh no, that's just cruel.
Teddy does not deserve even a quarter of the shit he gets put through.
Teddy is precious baby, and they need to be protected.
Well, I don't know about that. The hangman is a hangman for usually a reason.
What do you think the rest of us are going to find out by that cart? Do you think Dan has any weird surprises for us there? Or is it just a consequence of us being separated?
It might be a consequence of us being separated. There's probably more to the general area of this world, so it could be like an impetus to go explore beyond the realm of the tournament grounds. Because, golly, am I just so curious where they're sending those extraneous hearts. Mm-hmm. Why is it in a cart?
What are the hearts being used for? Is it for the cards?
If the king is false, then who even needs them?
I mean, I, for one, do approve of an economy based off of hearts, but I understand that might be a bit morbid for some people.
Now I think about it, it's also very Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
you have to beat up the heart and send them back to Kingdom Hearts so they can get reincarnated.
Here's a fun fact late in the series here. I do not like Kingdom Hearts. I don't really like Disney or Final Fantasy in general. So the fact that I'm here playing a Kingdom Hearts-inspired game might seem strange to some of you humans out there, but I do love hanging out with my friends and mashing up character stuff. So if you can give me that and the system provides that excellently, then I will tolerate the base material.
It is mostly Kingdom Hearts space, yes, but there's other stuff like Subspace Emissary that definitely has its tendrils in this game.
I love tendrils.
To be fair, we don't have to interact with any Disney characters if we don't want to. This is an entirely player-made choice.
Also, none of us chose Disney characters. That would feel a little too on the nose for me. But it is funny that between you and me, Carolyn, we're coming really close between Shrek fairy tale stuff and specifically Final Fantasy. Yeah. We're treading on very Kingdom Hearts ground, even though we didn't directly integrate it.
Just skirting that line.
What would you have done differently if you could?
I've already kind of been over this. I might have had Smog ask people to poke around in the castle a little bit more, looking for details about Lone specifically, because Lone feels important here. That's basically information I got directly from a deep dive move. But I just thought there was more potential to get something out of the World of the Lost here.
I kind of hit on this before, too. If I had thought about it, I would have taken the experience since it's been kind of hard to come by. But burning the Ice Wolf alive was also kind of satisfying. Again, sounding like a serial killer. That's all.
I would have made Poni study those markings or hieroglyphs or whatever they were a little more thoroughly and maybe ask Dan a couple questions. Poni really glossed over those, and she was the only one who was there for an extended period of time.
I was looking for an opportunity there towards the beginning of the game to talk to Athenos a bit more one-on-one. It didn't really pan out that way. We all just sort of split and did different things. In the future, I do want to have Assyria and Athenos have a moment, since they are magic buddies now, and it's been a while since they've gotten up to some antics.
I was looking for a little bit of that too. My new link move involves me removing a locked link to get +1 forward and mark an experience. So I unlocked Athenos because I'm I'm sure I'll talk to Athenos sometime soon. It just hasn't happened yet.
So let's get into the resolution phase, the segment of the show where we each get to say something about the game with no responses. What is your final say on this session, Dee?
Sometimes fire is the correct answer. Actually, maybe most of the time. You can find me on Twitter at @BacksliderD. If you follow me, turn off my retweets. You can also find me on PlayStation Network at IHadACowLOL. That's also my Instagram name. I also have a Switch, so if you find me somewhere, we can exchange codes and game together sometime. You never know.
Right, what about you, Carolyn?
I know Poni was working on keeping her cool, but this is ridiculous.
What about you, Alex?
Empathy and forgiveness might be crucial in solving the problems here. You can find me on Twitter at ShiningCrowbat. I recommend checking out Sitcom D&D. It is an actual play podcast that has just concluded its second season. It is the intersection of TV, workplace sitcom, D&D, and improv. I would honestly say it leans more into improv than D&D, but there are roles. And it's just paid off surprisingly well. And there are 40-something episodes for you to listen to already.
And for myself, I do find that time moves like a river in streams flowing forward. And when there's an object blocking that flow, it finds a way. You can find me in a garden filled with statues that are suspiciously lifelike, though solid stone. This has been Resolve, an afterplay show. You can find us online at most social media sites at ResolveAP.
Except Instagram, which is at ResolveAfterplay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us today. You can buy the game we're playing, Interstitial, Our Hearts Intertwined, from its creator, Riley Hopkins, at linksmithgames.com.
All links will be included in the description of the episode.
Thank you again for joining us. We end our turn here, so now it's your turn. Tell us what's happening in your game.